The king who could ride his chariot in all the 10 directions, his name was Dasharatha. We have 7 words above. Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. They are all the 7 words above. There are 7 beneath. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Talatala, Mahatala, Patala. There are 7 below, 7 above. We are in the first level of the first 7. We are in Bhuhu. So there is a direction upwards, there is a direction downwards. Besides that, we are aware of the other 8 directions. East, West, north, south, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. 8 plus 1 above, 1 beneath, 10. So this king could ride his chariot, Ratham, in all the 10 directions. So he was called Dasharatha. So this Dasharatha, this king, he ruled for over 60,000 years. That is what Ramayana says. But there could be a logical question. How could a human first of all exist for 60,000 years? We don't dwell upon subjects which relate to the current yugam, which is Kali Yugam. I'll just give you a minor calculation. You can afford to forget it. So we don't have something called as year grades. So you can take it in 1 year and comfortably let it out in the other year. Don't worry about it. Since I've been asked to speak, I will give you some little calculation which your children and grandchildren will be highly impressed. Now we are in the 51st year of Brahma. The current Brahma who's ruling is celebrating his 51st year. Like how we are celebrating 17, he is celebrating 51. His entire lifespan, in his 51st year, we are there. And whatever we speak of the years, 1,000 years of our calculation, we have a single year now, 1,000 years of our calculation becomes Brahma's day. And 1,000 years of our current calculation becomes Brahma's night. So that day and that night is called as Kalpam. So that is why we say Shvetavaraha Kalpe. So this is the Kalpam called Shvetavaraha Kalpam. Now 1,000 years of the day, 1,000 years of the night together make one complete 24 hours for Brahma. Like that he has to live for 100 years. Then the next Brahma will come. Now we are in a Manvantaram. Now let me get to this calculation. The 1,000 years of the day of Brahma that I have mentioned is divided into 14 Manvantaras. Each Manu rules over a period of say a few years, 71.42 years. So this 1,000 is divided into 14. Now we are in a Manvantaram called as Vaivasvata Manvantaram. Vivaswan in Sanskrit means sun god. The one who rules over the current Manvantaram is Vaivaswan. Vivaswan Manave Pravaha. This is a beautiful line iterated by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Now in that we are in the 28th Chaturyugam. Chaturyugam has 4 yugas: Krita, Treta, Dwapara, Kali. All these 4 put together constitute 43,20,000 years. Each part has 4,32,000 years. So the first four parts are in Krita Yugam, next 3 in Treta, next 2 in Dwapara, we are in Kali. So we cannot equate the number of years what Dasharatha lived to what we are. I'll tell you how. When a father asks the son, what is the distance between Mumbai and Delhi? The child says 5 centimeters. How is it? Because the child has measured it in the atlas. The atlas says 5 centimeters, but the child has forgotten to see the scale. 1 millimeter in an atlas will be equal to so many kilometers. Likewise, what we say as one complete year in our human life in this yugam could be equal to 10 years of Dasharatha in Treta Yugam. So 60,000 years should not deject us from listening to Ramayana saying that it is a figment of somebody else's imagination. So Dasharatha lived for 60,000 years. He performed the Putrakamishti Yajnam, the sacrifice which was done in earlier days according to Vedic rituals to beget a son. He performed it. At the end of it arose a patra, a vessel containing porridge, and it was distributed amongst his 3 principal wives, Kaushalya, Kaikeyi and Sumitra, and born were 4 children, Ram to Kaushalya, Bharat to Kaikeyi, Lakshman and Shatrughna to Sumitra. So this was the order. Now, at the age of 12, when Ram was asked by Vishwamitra whether, hey king, can you please send your eldest son Ram with me to the forest so that he could banish the demons out of my forest? He sent. Whenever you go to all these big malls, you get one free. You get that 1 plus 1, right? So whenever Ram was asked, you get Lakshman for free. So he asked for Ram and Lakshman also came along with. So both of them went. The demoness called as Tataka was killed. The demon son to the demoness called as Subahu was killed. And Maricha was driven away. Until this we have seen. There he goes. He gets engaged to Sita. The father and the battalion from Ayodhya arrived to a place called Janakapuri, which still exists in Nepal. They were married there. Then they returned back to Ayodhya. We have listened till here. One day, Dasharatha happened to stand before the mirror. He couldn't get the Godrej dye those days, so he happened to see a grey hair. So the grey hair came near his ear, it seems. Generally in those days, I am telling those days because in those days, if one has to teach a mantra is supposed to be something very sacrosanct and sacred. You cannot put it in CDs and sell it in shops. Then it is no more a mantra. Right? That which is to be kept a secret is mantra. Gurum prakashayet dhiman mantram yatnena gopayet aprakasha prakashabhyam shiyete sampadayushi is a beautiful verse from an esoteric work called as Itihasa Samuchayam. Gurum prakashayet dhiman. You should always tell and flourish the name of your guru. You should never ever tell what mantra he has taught to others. The reverse is happening today. They don't tell about their guru, but they tell about what mantra they have learned. So Gayatri mantra is available in any tea shop you go, in any ringtone in the phone also. That is not the way to be said. Mantra is supposed to be Ashat Karani. Shat in Sanskrit is not the English Shat. Shat in Sanskrit is 6. Ashat means something which is not 6. When one person is telling the mantra to a student, the 6th ear should not hear. That is called Ashat Karani. So, this hair, this single hair came and told Dasharatha things. Mahakavi Kalidas beautifully narrates it in his magnum opus called as Raghuvamsham. He says, Tam karnamulam aghatya Rame Sri Yasyatamiti. Tam karnamulam aghatya. Tam, the hair. Karnamulam, the corner of the ear. Karnamulam aghatya came. Rame Shri Yasyatamiti. Hey Dasharatha, why don't you abandon your kingdom and give it to your son? Let him take care from now on. That time, Dasharatha calls all his council of ministers and he says, I don't take a single-handed decision. It is left to you all. Is my son the right person to be the next king? You all have to decide. That time, Vasishtha stands up, the family priest, to the king of Ikshvaku. He stands up and he says, Jnana vruddhaihi vayo vruddhaihi shita vruddhaihi. Your son should become the king. He could have many reasons for himself to be the next candidate. I am unaware of it. But there is only one candidature qualification that he seeks. He respects the aged, he respects their age, he respects their character, and he respects their knowledge. I am right now seated before people who are great by their age, who are great by knowledge, who are great by their character. It is to introduce me to the topic that I have narrated all this as an introduction. So, now getting to the topic. The topic reads, why does one pray? What does one pray? When does one pray? Where does one pray? When we write all these sentences, we can save the ink by putting ditto marks. Does one pray? It's the same. Why, what, when, where? We all speak about cost cutting, right? We should save even money, even in ink. So let us say, why and what? The first two questions are very identical. Why does one come to a lecture like this? To listen to the lecture. What does one listen? The lecture. So, the reason for the answer to the first two questions will most probably identical in most of the cases. When it is identical, it is believed in Shastra that there is no chaos or confusion in that. How? Why do I go to the temple? Because I want money. The second question, what does one pray that I want money? Both are identical. Now, there is a beautiful statement which Swami Vedanta Deshika says, Mushti Kuchela Munaye. When Kuchela, you must have heard of this beautiful story of Sudama, who is also called as Kuchela in some of the scriptures. He was the childhood friend of Lord Krishna. Despite being a friend to the Lord of the universe, he was not living a very comfortable living. There was no planning at all in the family. Name the number, you will have so many children. So he had so many children and he couldn't manage with them. His wife said, when you have Karpaka Vriksha, when you have the wish-yielding tree, when you have Kamadhenu, the wish-yielding cow, when you have Chintamani, the wish-yielding gem, all these three put together, three in one as Lord Krishna, why don't you go and ask for all that you want? So he walks. He goes to Krishna's chamber. Looking at Krishna's beauty, he gets mesmerized. And when Krishna says, have you bought something for me? He hides what he has bought. Because he has bought a handful of the rice that is fried. You call it as poha here. He got that. And he said, to such a great king, how could I ever give this? Krishna says, I am interested in only things which people get me. I am not interested in what I have. A lot of them say this. They don't like what they cook, but they like what others cook. So they stop cooking and they go to others' houses. So he also did the same thing. So he said, please give me what you have got. He took this and Krishna ate. Still, Kuchela has not put his proposal that he wanted so much of wealth or whatever he wanted. He goes back to his village with a filled heart that I have met my childhood friend. He goes there to find his house missing. In those days, whenever people used to go to Krishna's house, they always had the intention. I think I have to narrate one small anecdote here. One of my acharyas used to say, in Vrindavanam, which was a temporary place of translocation for all the Brajavasis, because Kapsa was causing a lot of atrocities, they came to a place called Vrindavanam. There, an old lady had a son. She got her son married. The girl came. She fell at the feet of her mother-in-law in those days. So she fell at the feet and she said, I seek your blessings. This mother-in-law said, I will cook for you, but you have to do one thing for me. This girl stood up and asked, what should I do? In the evening, at about 5:36, please do not stand at the doorstep. This girl was flabbergasted. She thought, why should I not be standing? Why have I been restricted for that half an hour? She said, the mother-in-law said, my dear daughter-in-law, there is one boy called as Lord Krishna in this village. Whoever looks at him becomes his property. In the evening, if you stand at the doorstep and he walks by, looking at the beauty, because beauty itself in Sanskrit is described by two words. One is called as Saundaryam, the other is called as Lavanyam. These are two different attributes of beauty. Krishna had both of them. Just for your information, I tell you what Lavanyam is, what Saundaryam is. Saundaryam is a quality which speaks about the beauty of every part individually. If you see some of their noses of certain people will be excellent. The eyes of certain people will be excellent. That means what? You should see only the eye. You should not see the other parts. It will not be good. The nose alone will be good with certain people. The eye alone will be good with certain people. So this is called as Saundaryam. Lavanyam is the overall beauty. If you see some people from a far off distance, they will look very good. You should not go closer. If you look into their nose and ears separately, probably it may not be that lookable. But if you see from far, overall they will give you a very good look. This is called as Lavanyam. Overall a good look is called Lavanyam. Individually, part by part is called Saundaryam. Krishna's nose was beautiful, eyes were beautiful, hands were beautiful, legs were beautiful. So he had Saundaryam. Overall he looked beautiful, so he had Lavanyam. So this mother-in-law said, with the Saundaryam and Lavanyam, there will be one boy who comes by our street. If you stand at the doorstep, from tomorrow onwards you will not be my daughter-in-law, you will be Yashoda's daughter-in-law, so don't stand at the doorstep. So I just had to tell you this incident to tell you how beautiful the Lord is. Nevertheless, getting back to our topic, Why does one pray? Now, Kuchela left Dwaraka and went back to his kingdom. He found his house missing. There the mother-in-law was worried whether the daughter-in-law would go missing. Here he found his house missing. So he was all the more surprised. At the same place where his old hut stood, there was a magnificent palace. He got inside to see his wife wear all the khazana jewellery and Tanish. She was very beautiful. So he immediately asked, where did you get all these jewels from? The moment you went to Dwaraka, I got. So probably he thought he should always keep staying in Dwaraka only, then only these people get this, right? So he said, nothing like that. Even without me asking, the God has gifted me this. So, the answer to the first two questions, why does one pray and what does one pray, is redundant. Now, there is a very traditional way of introducing oneself to an elderly person in our Sanatana Dharma tradition. Like how we say, I am your friend. We put a Facebook status, right? We send friend request, acquaintance, best friend, close friend and all that. Likewise, when somebody asks in those days, even today, when an elderly person asks, who are you? Generally, it's not a habit of a Vedic person to stand like this and say, I am such and such a person. I bend like the Japanese. I put my ears down and introduce myself. I'll just read out what my introduction is. Generally, it is not to be told out in the public, but I am telling you because we have to understand the beauty in which our culture has been handed over generation after generation. You call it as Abhivadanam. Abhivadanam means mutual namaskaram. The elderly person should not remain like that. He should also tell what he is, but he doesn't have to bend. Abhivadaye, this is my introduction. Abhivadaye, Angirasa, Ambarisha, Yavanasva, Trayarishaye, Pravarandita. I have come in the tradition of three rishis. Abhivadaye, Angirasa, there was a rishi called Angiras. Ambarisha, there was a rishi called Ambarish. Yavanasva, Yavana rishi. Pravarandita, what they have inculcated. Pravarandita, my gotram, Harita gotraha. Apastamba sutraha, what Veda I read. Yajushaka Adhyayi. If you are a Rigvedic, you should say Rigshaka Adhyayi. Whatever my name is, Krishna Sharmanam Aham Asmi Ho. Now, the elderly person, he should know how to bless. That is very important. Like how I know how to introduce myself, the elderly person should learn how to bless. He should say, Ayushman Bhava Krishna Sharma. He should drag it for 3 seconds. So everything has been laid detail after detail. Now if a girl falls, she doesn't have to introduce because the beauty herself is so captivating that she doesn't have to introduce. But he should not say Ayushman Bhava. He should say Ayushmati Bhava. So the gender should change. So everything has been written detail by detail. Now comes the question, why does one pray? What does one pray? How do I link it to what Abhivadaya has said now? I have told you that Abhivadanam should be performed to elderly people. Taittiriya Upanishad says, Matra Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. This is what Taittiriya Upanishad says. So first comes the mother, second the father, next your Acharya, the Guru. So when I say that I have to introduce myself to Abhivadanam, I have to do it to elderly. My mother and father are elderly. So every morning in those days, it was a practice. It is not a figment of somebody's imagination. 100 years before, every person living would introduce himself to his parents every morning. It is very new to us because for the past 100 years nobody has been doing it. Now it has become like Harry Potter, like a Hogwarts school of witchcraft. It has become some imagination for us. It did happen. But every morning when the son gets up and tells his parents that this is my name, he doesn't say, oh my dear mother, oh my father, I was born to you 12 years before. In your womb, I was delivered in this hospital. It is your duty to take care of my education. It is your duty to take care and spend during my marriage. It is your duty to take care of my children who will be your grandchildren. He doesn't say all this. Likewise, whenever we go to the temple, why does there need arise for us to tell that you give me this, give me that? Like how a mother and father know what to give their son, the Lord also knows what to give us. So, the answer to the first two questions remain the same. Why does one pray? To please Him. What does one pray? To please Him. Now, I was asked by one of the audience in Bangalore, it was a very interesting question. If we don't tell the Lord, He wouldn't know what we want. Correct? Am I correct or am I wrong? Wrong. So He would know. So why should we again go and tell what we want? It is like a son going and telling his parents that I was born to you 12 years before, so you have to take care of my education. What does the mother say? I know much before what you knew, so I know how to take care, you don't have to tell me that. Correct? So in this world, we are aware of two words, hitam and priyam. Hitam means that which is good. Priyam means what we like. How many of you are a part of the Facebook? Because I have to talk in these days. Okay. Whenever somebody puts a status on the Facebook, if we would not like to comment, we at least want to appreciate what they have done. What do we say? We like. So we put that like. So we say how many likes we have got. Correct? So that like is lovability. That is called priyam. Whereas when somebody does a mistake, but yet you feel that this is not good for you, you go and advise. That is called as hitam. Generally, hitam and priyam never go hand in hand. The mother will buy karela and she will make a vegetable out of it, thinking it is hitam, good. But the son will not like it because it is not priyam to him. A person who is diabetic will have 10 sweets because it is priyam to him, love to him, but it is not good for him, it is not hitam. So it is very tough to get what you like and what you love, what is good for you and what you love. It is very tough to mingle both of them. But we like the Lord, He likes us. He is good for us, we are good for Him. So both of these get together only in a prayer. So the answer to the first two questions are, why does one pray? To please Him. What does one pray? Just to please Him. Now, how can we pray someone just to please Him? Don't we need a reason? No, we perform a lot of activities without getting the answer to this question. Every morning it is said that you have to brush your teeth. It is generally a practice in Indian homes. Since I am quite acquainted with the South Indian tradition, I would say South Indian homes, if it is practiced in the North, beautiful. Outside the home there is a rangoli which is put every morning. Generally people do it after brushing their teeth and taking the bath. But there are certain things that are to be performed even without brushing your teeth. Putting a rangoli should be done without brushing your teeth. That is what Shastra says. When I told this in Calcutta, some people said we don't do it throughout the day, brushing the teeth. That should not be the thing. You should put the rangoli and then brush. But there is a rule to it. Now when we do all that, after that we go and brush. Somebody comes and asks you, what are you doing? I am brushing. Why are you brushing? Why am I brushing? We can get an answer saying that to keep our teeth clean. But just think, whether when you brush every day, do you have the intention? The objective of my brushing is to keep my teeth clean. So I will brush. Do you ever do that? You do it just as a matter of practice. Likewise, prayer should be a matter of practice and it should not come out of a day suddenly. When it is a practice, you will never question yourself, why am I praying? Only when you pray once in a blue moon, you will ask, why am I praying today? Sarvatra asti sada asti was the statement of Prahlad. Now let's go back to Bhagavatam. In Srimad Bhagavatam, which comprises of 18,000 verses, divided into 12 cantos, the child Prahlad goes to the hermitage, learns and comes. His father Hiranyakashipu says, my dear son, come and sit on my lap. He sits. He asks, my dear son, what have you learned? That's a normal question. Until here Hiranyakashipu was right. A father should always ask what you have learned. The son says, I have learned 9 types of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam, Iti Pumsarpita Vishnoho Bhaktische Navalakshanaha. I have learned the 9 facets of bhakti. Shravanam, passionate listening. Kirtanam, singing. Vishnoho Smaranam, remembrance is very important. People say, forget what I have learned. That is very wrong. Unless and until you dwell into a topic, it will not remain. People say, my grandmother generally says, whenever I recite shlokas, my mind wanders here and there. Only my mouth is reciting it. There is nothing wrong about it. See, our mind is prone to all distractions. In Kali Yuga, we are prone to distractions. It doesn't matter if your mind goes here and there. You can try your level best to keep your concentration with the shloka, but if it goes here and there, it's still okay. But you're still reciting. But why does it go? This was my grandmother's question. What will I reply? So I told her, do you forget to eat food? She said, no. Do you forget to brush? No. Do you forget to bathe? No. Then why do you forget to think of the Lord when you're praying? The answer is, unless and until anything is in practice, we keep forgetting. If you keep on thinking of the Lord, never will arise a situation where you have to remember. When will you remember a certain person? Only when you forget him for 99% of the time. That 1% of the remaining time you think about him. So you will never have the opportunity to forget him. So he says, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho Smaranam, Padasevanam, worshipping the feet. Archanam, doing Archana. Vandanam, to put your hands together. Dasyam, to be a servant to him. Sakhyam, to be a friend with him. Atmanivedanam, to submit myself unto him. So these are the 9 facets of bhakti. Now, getting back to this topic, why was it that Hiranyakashipu says, oh my dear son, what have you learned? Prahlada says all this. That time he says, Shravanam, Vishnoho Smaranam and everything. Now, prayer, what does it comprise of? To get an answer to this, I will again go back to the question. Why does one pray? To attain him. What does one pray? Him. Gopastris, the Vrijavasis, when Narada once came and asked them, you are all so affectionate to Krishna. What do you want? They said, we don't want anything, we want him. Look at that devotion. For example, the Lord comes and asks me, I'll say, you give me your jewels. I don't want you, I want your jewels. Correct? But they ask, we don't want what you wear, we don't want what you are, we want you. So the answer to the first 2 questions will remain uncomplicated if the answer is one. Why does one pray? To attain him. What does one pray? To be him. Next, when does one pray? Now comes a question. Some people say, I worship in the morning, because generally the sattva guna, the divinity in a person is at the peak in the morning, generally. It could also be in the evening. So when does one pray? The answer to this question is Sarvatram. You can pray every time. There is no rule, there is no fixed time that you have to pray. Then why do they say that you have to pray in the morning? Because they know very well, our preceptors, our ancient preceptors know very well that we have a lot of work to be performed. So they have themselves divided the part of the day and said, early morning is supposed to be a very auspicious time, you can learn and you can pray. You can pray. So, Sarvatra Asti Sada Asti. When Hiranyakashipu asks his son Prahlad, hey Prahlad, you say that your Lord is there, where is he? The son beautifully gives a statement. Sarvatra Asti. He is there everywhere. He is omnipresent. Sada Asti, he is always there. Never was a time that God existed. Never was a time when God will exist. He existed, he exists, he will exist. Sarvatra Asti, he is here, he is there, he is everywhere. So he says that there is no time, there is no restriction of all this. So he says all this, the Father agrees. Now comes the question to us, when do we pray? We can pray at any point of time. To tell you this, I will give you a beautiful anecdote from Ramayana. The brother to Ravan was Vibhishana. He was the only existing good soul in Lanka. So he comes, he advises his elder brother Ravan to free Sita. Ravan disagrees and he says, if you are not interested, you may leave my party and go. So he starts his own party. He leaves. A lot of them quit, right? They form their own party. So he also quit Lanka's party and he came to India. Now he stood in the air because those Rakshasas had the ability to stand in air. So he tells all the monkeys, there was not one or two, there were 70,000 of monkeys there. So he tells them that I have come to seek refuge at the feet of Ram. Go and tell him this. That time the monkeys go one after one, say the same message. At times you get the same forwarded being 10 times, right? So Ram also got the same message 70,000 times. There is one brother of Ravan called as Vibhishan who is standing and he wants to seek refuge. So Ram said, okay, let him come. That time Sugriv says, he has not come at the right time. Had he come sometime before, then we could have agreed. Now we have reached a stage where you are about to fight with Ravan. He knows very well that you will win. Knowing that who will win in the war, he has come to seek refuge. So he has not come at the right time. That time Ram gives a very beautiful statement. Satadeva prapannaya tavasmi cha yachate abhayam sarva bhutebhyo dadamyetat vratam mama. Hey Sugriv, there is nothing like auspicious and inauspicious time. Whenever he comes and falls at my feet, that is auspicious time. So, when does one pray? There should never be an answer stating that you have to pray only at this particular point of time. You can pray at any point of time. Bhishma in Mahabharata, he had the misfortune to fight with his own grandson, who was Arjun. Before the 10th day of the war of Mahabharata, Arjun, who had vowed to kill Bhishma, keeps on playing with him with arrows. That time Lord Krishna gets angry. He says, I have been advising you throughout the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita that you have to fight not with your grandfather, but you have to fight with injustice. I have been telling you this time and again, Arjun, but you have not been listening to me. So he gets up from his chariote's seat, he gets down and he takes his chakra. That time, Bhishma leaves all his weapons and says, I am waiting for this moment when you will kill me, Krishna. So that time Arjun comes and falls at the feet of Krishna and says, hey Krishna, let the world not abuse you, because you had vowed before the Mahabharata Yuddham that you will not touch even a single weapon. When you touch your chakra, the world will abuse me, saying that what kind of friend are you, Arjuna, to your friend, that you made your friend break his vow. So you don't worry, I will take care of Bhishma. That time Bhishma says, hey Krishna, it becomes very difficult for one at the deathbed to think of the Lord. When they are proper health itself, they don't think. Why will they think in the deathbed? So why will I think of you? But at that point of time, when my soul is about to depart from my body, I seek your presence. That time Krishna says, don't worry, I will take care of you. Now Bhishma had a beautiful boon bestowed by his mother Ganga, that he could die at the time he wished. Such a great boon, right? But they won't give it to us. That is the beauty. They have chosen Gangeya, Ganga's son. He was purity manifestation's own son. So Bhishma is lying on the deathbed of arrows. The war is over. Krishna is now playing dice with his wife Rukmini in Dwaraka. Their war took place in this place called as Kurukshetra, which is North India. Krishna is in Dwaraka, which is in Gujarat. Now Bhishma thought, now the kingdom is safe. Now I can promise my mother that the kingdom is left to safe hands. Let me now depart. But remember, Krishna had made a promise. That time in Mahabharata there is a very beautiful, intricate incident. Whatever they show in books or whatever they show in serials is just 1% of the entire Mahabharata. Because Mahabharata comprises of 18 parvas, from Adi Parva till the last Parva, of 1,25,000 verses. They cannot depict all that in the serial or the movie. So there is a very intricate incident in Mahabharata. He keeps playing. Nishpratyuha pranaya ghatitam devi nityannavayam Vishnutvam Shrutvam Chetyanavadi Gunam Dvandvam Anyonya Lakshyam Seshashchittam Vivala Manasa Maulayasya Shrutina Sampajyante Viharana Vidhau Yasya Shayya Videshaha Udhyetatvam Janani Bhagato Ujjito Vadigandham Pratyagrupe Avishivayoho Ekadeshitvayoga Padme Patyustavajanigamai Nityam Anvishyamanaha Navachedam Bhajati Mahima Nartayan Manasam Naha Pashyantishu Shrutishu Paritaha. The Vedas are the audience to what the Lord and the Goddess play. Shrutishu Paritaha Suri Brindena Sardham. The eternal people of Vaikuntham are the audience. Madhye Krityaha. In between is a beautiful chessboard which has three colors. One is Sattva Gunam, one is Rajo Gunam, one is Tamo Gunam. Madhye Kritya Tribuna Phalakam Nirmita Sthana Bhedam Vishwadisha Pranagi Sada Vibhrama Dhyuta Vrittau. Dhyutam means gambling, right? They are playing. That time Krishna stops playing. In Mahabharata there is a very beautiful incident. He stops playing. Rukmini is surprised because Krishna always had the habit, even if he loses, he will declare that he has won. He never likes others winning. So Rukmini was surprised. Now he is the chance to win. Why has he stopped fighting? That time Krishna started shedding tears. She asks him, why are you shedding tears? He says, it's now time for Bhishma's soul to depart. In this meantime, while I closed my eyes, I had gone to Kurukshetra to bless him and I came back. That time she says, why did you cry for that? Because all of us keep dying, we are born, we are Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. Why should we cry? He says, now Kali Yuga is going to start. This is the end of Dwapara Yugam. In Kali Yuga, there will arise too many people who say that I did not exist. There will be too many people who arise and say that Bhagavatam is false. There will be too many people who arise and say that Vedas were written only 1000 years before. That's what the Wikipedia says. It was written only 1000 years before. So all this will happen here, Rukmini. Now, I am worried that the world is losing a great person like Bhishma, because after Bhishma, it is very tough to find learned people like him. Jnaninaha alpi bhavanti. Alpa means cheap or best. Jnaninaha, knowledgeable people. Alpi bhavanti. You can never find great people like him. Now, why did I tell you this incident is, many people, my grandmother and grandfather used to ask, all my young age I have gone to the temple, but when at the deathbed, I will not be able to think of him. What will I do? So there is a very beautiful statement in Tamil. Appodekku ippode solli vaikte. Like how, when a person retires at the age of 60, the company will not accumulate the wealth all of a sudden and give him as provident fund. What they do is, right from his date of joining, if you see the payslip, they will take certain percentage and they will say, this is your provident fund. They will accumulate and give it at the end. Likewise, whatever prayers you have made throughout your life, it will fructify at the end. If you tell him now itself that, see, some people have this habit, whenever we go to a movie with my friends, I tell them, see, I don't have time to message you before I leave to the movie. I will tell you today itself and you have to come and pick me up. He will do that. Likewise, if you tell it now, the minute itself in your mind that at the deathbed I will not be able to think of him, he will come and bless you. But why is that one step required? Now I told you before that a child doesn't have to go and tell his parents that you have to give me this. But why should a person go and tell the Lord that you have to think of me? Because there are 4 states of Purushartham. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksham. The first 3 is what people desire the most. The first 3 is what people get it very easily. But the last one is the most toughest. If you go to a stainless steel shop where they sell 10 rupees worth utensils, you will find 2000 people. Whereas if you go to a diamond store, you will find only 2. But the diamond is more of worth than the vessel, the stainless steel. But you will find only 2 people there. Why? Because though it is worth than the stainless steel utensil, though it is more brighter than this, people who can afford to buy are very less. Likewise, Dharma, Artha, Kama is like stainless steel. People will go and buy as much as they want. But nobody will say that I want moksha. Just imagine the Lord appears before us and says, I will give you moksha immediately. You have to come to Vaikuntha. Will we be there? I have to complete my lecture. You have to go home and eat what you have cooked. So, we will never agree to what the Lord offers us saying. So, for this step alone, just to seek eternal salvation, just to seek eternal, I think my voice is quite audible. Just to seek eternal salvation, it is right in our hand that we take that one step and say, give me moksha. So, probably the mic has sought moksha. So, the answer to the first question, why does one pray? The answer to the second question, what does one pray, is the same. Why does one pray? To seek what he is. What does one pray? To seek him. Third, when does one pray? He prays at any point of time. Where does one pray? It's a very important question. I will deal with this. We have learned that the God is omnipresent. Sarvatra asti, sada asti. He is there in it, he is there in me, he is there in you. But we go to a specific place called as the temple. Why do we go to the temple? A lot of your children themselves will question you this. When you say that the God is omnipresent, why do we have to go to the temple? Will be their question. A very valid question. Correct? When the God is there everywhere, why should I go to a temple? Because, in biology, they'll teach you this. You can see me with your naked eye, but you cannot see certain things with your naked eye. They are called microorganisms. You need a special kind of a microscope to see them. You are not supposed to see the sun directly during eclipse. They will give you a specific kind of goggles. Likewise, God is there everywhere. He is there in this plastic bottle, He is there in this water, He is there in my tongue, He is there in my eye, He is there in your eye, He is there in the word in which I am talking. He is there everywhere. But we do not have the ability to perceive Him everywhere. That is why we go to a temple. It is not to disprove the fact that He is omnipresent. It is to prove the fact that we have limited sense organs and powers with them. So He is there everywhere. We can pray anywhere. But when I tell this that He is present everywhere, immediately a child will ask, saying that I will not go to the temple, I will sit at my home. No. There are certain duties that have been prescribed by Shastras. Why is it called a Shastra? In Sanskrit, Shastra means Shasanad Shastraha. That which tells you, live like this, do this. Hence it is called Shastram. Shastram is a rule book. When I go in the train, I procure a train ticket. I have paid for it. I sit inside the train. The ticket collector comes and says, show me the ticket. I show him. He also takes. Meanwhile, he finds something below my feet. He finds a beautiful parcel of standard fireworks, crackers. Will he let me sit inside the train? He will let me inside the train only if I throw the crackers outside. Now I can argue with him, sir, I have bought a ticket for 300 rupees. Now the fares have also increased in the railway, correct? So I have increased, they have increased the fare and I have paid that increased fare also. Why should I not carry this? He will say, you got the ticket, but you forgot to see the rule behind it that you are not supposed to carry fireworks in the train. Likewise, people say that I will recite Gayatri Mantram, but the Lord has also given a rule book along with it that people who have undergone the thread ceremony alone should recite at this point of time after bath, even without the second person knowing what is recited. We want the Gayatri Mantram, but we do not want to follow the rule book. It is just like a person who has bought a ticket but who is carrying the inflammable substances in his train. So, a person who is capable enough, Shastras say that at this age you have to go to a temple, at this age you have to go to the forest, you have to. Now don't ask me where to go to the forest, because there are not many. Vanaprastha ashramam is not at all existing these days, because the third ashram is called as Vanaprastham. Where is the vanam to go for a prasthanam? There is no vanam at all. So wherever here, see, that is all. There is also vanam these days. What is the vanam? What is the forest where animals live? Correct. Now we are surrounded by many animals. Some people bark. Some people, when they speak, they sting. So we are nowhere away from the zoo. So we are also living in the forest only. So Vanaprastha exists even today. So if the Vedas have said that you have to go to the temple, go. But my grandmother says, I have got arthritis. I have got rheumatism. I have got spondylitis. I cannot bend my head. I cannot use my hands to fold my hands. I cannot bend my knees. How will I go to the temple? Now, there comes a beautiful statement by Krishna. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. You just fall to my feet for once. I will take care of you. Now, the same rule, when I told my grandmother, you don't worry, your health is not permitting, you sit in your place, think of the Lord, immediately her other grandson will say, even I will not go to the temple. Correct? The grandmother can't go to the temple, I will also use the same facility. Last week, I had to buy a second-class ticket to Andheri, so I went and stood in the railway counter. There was a huge line, like Hanuman's tail, there was a huge line. People were standing to procure the ticket. I went in the side, I gave a 100 rupee note and said, give me a second-class ticket. She said, I will give you the ticket on condition that you tell me why did you barge in and ask me to give the ticket. I said, there was a board written here, separate queue. So I came and stood. She said, you have half read. You have just read the first line. Read the second line. Separate queue for ticket coupons and first class, not for second class. Correct? Now she tell me, I will give you the ticket, go and stand there. So for me to stand and get the first class ticket, what is the condition? To get in stand in a separate queue, that I need a first class or a coupon. I cannot buy a second class ticket in the separate queue. Likewise, a person has been permitted by the Lord to sit in his place and think of him only when his sense organs, hands and feet are not cooperating with him. Now there is a very beautiful statement. There are 5 gems in Mahabharata. Remember these, you can tell it to your grandchildren. Viduraniti, Yaksha Prashnam, Sanat Sujatiyam, Vishnu Sahasranam, Bhagavad Gita. The preachings of the brother Vidura to his elder blind king Dhritarashtra is called Viduraniti. The questions posed by Yaksha to all the 5 Pandavas, especially the eldest amongst them, Yudhishthira, is called Yaksha Prashnam. The teachings of Sanat Kumara to Dhritarashtra is called as Sanat Sujatiyam. The beautiful verses that were told by Krishna to Arjuna is called Bhagavad Gita. The beautiful names, the 1,000 names of the Lord which were iterated by Bhishma on his deathbed is called as Vishnu Sahasranamam. Now, this Vishnu Sahasranamam is very beautiful. You might have heard of it. Hari Om Vishwam Vishnu Vashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu Bhuta Pritpavo Bhutatma Bhuta Pavanaha Bhutatma Paramatma Chamuttanam Paramagati Abhyaya Purusha Sakshi Kshetra Nyokshara Evacha Yoga Yoga Vidameta. Every name of this is beautiful. If I get into that, I never complete. So let me not get inside that. So there are 1,000 names which have been told by Bhishma. At the end he says, Vanamali Gadishari Shanki Chakri Chanandaki Sriman Narayano Vishnu Vasudevo Virakshatu. The 1,000 names are over. It is called Vishnu Sahasra Namam. Sahasram means 1,000. Namam means name. The 1,000 beautiful names of Vishnu. It was over. Now, who were all the audience? Like you were all seated with Parvati and Lord Shiva. They are seated in Kailash. They were getting the Doordarshan telecast there. So they could see what the names Bhishma was telling. So they were in Kailash. That time Parvati turned towards Lord Shiva and said, Hey Lord, in this Kali Yuga, when people have no time to eat their grab of vada pav, where will they have the time to tell all the 1,000 names in the morning and go? We were generally my grandmother's mother, about 100 years back, there used to be be a kitchen where there was no cooking range. Nowadays, you put you switch on. You don't even have to switch on. You don't have to use a lighter also in the cooking range. You just turn it catches fire on its own. Then it will itself tell you when you have to take the rice out. It will give you 3 sounds. The 3 whistles it will give you, then you will know. Because probably when we are watching TV and we are letting it cook, we won't know when it has got cooked. So it will give you all the 3 signals. Probably one day there will be a day when it eats also and goes. The cooking range will eat. Now it is switching on. Second it is cooking. Third day it will eat. One day you find your rice missing. That will happen. Now 80 or 90 years before, probably if you will all be quite aware, none of the kitchens had a cooking range. There used to be a cemented block. On the other side they used to put fire sticks, logs. They used to burn it, and early morning at 4 o'clock the lady will get in, and about 10 o'clock she will come all exhausted. Correct. Nowadays we want everything in 2 minutes. Now Parvati knew this 2-minute Maggi noodle concept. So she immediately asked Shiva that if they won't have time to recite 1000 names, now you have to tell me what is the shortcut to Sahasranama. She has helped us that way. She says, Parvatya Vacha Kenopayena Laguna. Lagu means small. Guru means big. Lagu means small. Kena Upayena Laguna. What is the shortcut? Upayena Laguna. Vishnu Nama Sahasrakam. For the entire 1000 names, what is the shortcut? Pathyatai, Panditai, Nityam. Only scholars have time to recite all this. What about people like us? Shrotum Ichhamyaham Prabho. I am interested in knowing what is the shortcut. That time Lord Shiva says, Ishvaro Vacha Sri Rama Rama Rame 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 Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanani. I was telling you this because the shortcut for not going to the temple is to sit and pray. The shortcut for Vishnu Sahasranama is Ramanama. If you recite Ram twice, Ram, 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 it is equal to 1000. Your grandchild will surely cross-question you. How can 1000 names be equated to 3 names? Correct? Now there is one beautiful counting system in Sanskrit. Ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cha, cha, ja, ja, nya. Ta, tha, da, da, na. Ta, tha, da, da, na. Pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. The pronunciation should be very accurate. Ka, 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 ka. Where will you learn pronunciation? Ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. So the last letters should be nga, nya, na, na. They are all different. So if you count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ra. What is the number for Ra? Ya, Ra. Ra is 2. Correct. Ya is 1. Ra is 2. So below Ram, below Ra you put 2. Pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. Ma is 5. So below Ma you put 5. 2 5s are? So Ram is 2 into 5, 10. So thrice you recite Sri Rama, Rama, Rameti, 10 into 10 into 10, 1000. So 1000 names of Vishnu is equal to Sri Rama, Rama. No, this is not something that has come out of my imagination. This is how you count numbers in Sanskrit. Even the value of pi has been, pi value 22 by 7 has been given accurately to the digits of 28 digits in Shastra. So everything, that is why they say Yadihasti Tadanyatra Yannehasti Nadadatpachit. Suppose we want to seek answers to mathematics and we don't find it in our Vedas, you cannot find it anywhere. If you want to find something, you find it here. If you can't find it in Vedas, you cannot find it anywhere. This is a beautiful statement. Yadihasti Tadanyatra Yannehasti Nadadatpachit. Suppose I want to find answers to differentiation calculus in mathematics. It will be there in Vedas. If it is not there in Vedas, nobody else can give the answer to it. Albert Einstein remarks, if I want to seek answers to some of the most spiritual and scientific questions, I just open the Bhagavad Gita and I get an answer to it. He says it. You can check for it. So, the shortcut is not to be adopted by any of us. Just because I have said 1000 names is equal to one Ram Naam, I will not recite Vishnu Sahasranamam, I will recite only 3. No. Whenever you have time, you have to recite Vishnu Sahasranamam. But there comes a situation where you are not able to recite, then you can use a shortcut. So, the answer to the fifth question, fourth question, where does one pray? He can pray at the place where he sits. Third question, when does one pray? At any point of time. You can even tell about the last minute of your life now itself and keep. What does one pray? To seek Him. Why does one pray? To seek Him. If we have answers to all these questions in a different way, then probably our lives will be more complicated, is what my Guru used to say. So I have tried my level best with His blessings, not to ask the Lord anything, because He is blessing us with what all we require. Why should I unnecessarily go and trouble Him? Correct? That kind of sakyam, that friendship should come with the Lord. That is what Gopastris had. You know, when Lord Krishna lifted the Govardhana mountain, what we would have done? Oh my Lord, you are the Lord for the universe. We would have said all that. You know what the Gopastris did? They took some butter and went near Him and said, you have been catching the mountain for such a long time, you will feel hungry, so we will give you some butter. So this is the friendship that they had, which we don't have. So the answer to all these questions is only one. Last, how should one pray? That is a very important question. With the Shastras in my mind, I will just give you an answer to the question and I will end the session. Before that, I just want to give the answer to you. How should one pray? We go to the temple and he shows the Harati, correct? It's Harati, it's not Arti. You know the word Arti in Sanskrit means trouble, distress. That is why they keep some of the girls' name is also Arti. Oh my distress, oh my distress. Because it is Harati, it is not Arti. Arti in Sanskrit is trouble. So if parents wish to call their daughter my trouble, you can. You know, at times it also happens that some of them are troublesome. So in those cases it will be quite synonymous. But here Harati is the word. So they will show you the Harati and they will show you see the Lord. Now there comes a question, the final question. The answer to the final question is again a question. Some people will say, God need not exist in a human form. Correct? Why should He exist in a human form? To us, He is human. To certain people, they think they are formless. The Lord has the ability and the capability to exist in formless as well as form. Just because Hinduism in most of the temple propagates idol worship, it is not wrong. Neither it should be underestimated. He can exist formless. He can exist with form. Why? If I tell you that He exists only formless and not with a form, that means we are adding a disadvantage to Him. I'll tell you how. Now there is a boy whom you want your daughter to get married. The person who brings both of them together, he says, this boy has everything in him. Name it, he will have. He has got a good height, good personality, fair and handsome, fair and lovely. Whatever he wants to do, let him say. He knows to sing, he knows to dance, he knows to play the instrument, everything. Now, when I ask that person, this person says, oh my dear bridegroom, that you know everything. Do you know to play the guitar? For example, the boy remarks, I know everything, but I do not know to play the guitar. That means it is a small disadvantage. It disproves the fact that he knows everything. Likewise, when I say that God exists in a cow, He exists in a pig, He exists in this pillar. You know this pillar that you see, He exists there. And this pillar is where Nrisimha, the Lord man-lion, incarnated from. So that is why I am saying some of the discourses. You know, some of the discourses here, I am blessed to have so many of you. In remote villages, when they call me to give discourse, I will have only Brahma's grandmother as my audience. You know who's Brahma's grandmother? Vedas say, Narayana's Brahma Jayate. It's very interesting, listen to this. Narayana's Brahma Jayate. From Narayan has arisen Brahma. You will find a Padmam there. Brahma has arisen from him. So Brahma's father is Narayan. Generally in vacations time, all your grandchildren will come to their grandparents' place. Where will Brahma go? He can't go to his grandmother's place because his father, Vishnu, Narayan, doesn't have a mother. Correct? So where will he go? So he complained to his father, everybody is going to their grandparents' place. I am not able to go. What is this? So then came the incarnation of man-lion. That time his boy Prahlad was asked by his father Hiranyakashipu, where is the Lord? He said, Sarvatra asti sada, he is there everywhere. This foolish Hiranyakashipu asked, does he live in this pillar? Why did he ask for that pillar? Because in certain houses, when you are constructing the house, you will leave everything to the contractor. But if it's a puja room, you yourself will supervise and construct it. Likewise, Hiranyakashipu left it to the contractor, whatever. He left it and they constructed a beautiful palace and gave. So he said, does he live in this pillar? Because this pillar was the only pillar which Hiranyakashipu had supervised. So he was very sure of the fact that Vishnu couldn't have got inside the pillar when he constructed. So he asked, does he live in this pillar? That time this boy said, when I said he lives everywhere, even this pillar is included in that everywhere. So you open bracket. Sada padala bhishane sarabhasa attahaso bhate. Look at the Sanskrit word. The way itself projects that it is going to break. Sarabhasa attahaso bhate. Spurakridhi parispudak brudike vibhasrete. Kripa kapata kesari dhanujadim badattana. That time he came. That time Brahma was happy, it seems. You know why? Because he said, my father Vishnu was there as Garbhavasam, like how a child stays in the mother's womb, he stayed in this pillar. Now this pillar has become my grandmother. Because in Sanskrit, the word for a pillar is sthuna. Sthuna is the word in Sanskrit for a pillar. And sthuna in Sanskrit is a Sri-lingam, it is a feminine gender. So, this feminine gender wala sthuna was the one who let Vishnu reside in him for some time. So from that, delivered Vishnu, came Vishnu. So this pillar thereby became Brahma's grandmother. Sthuna Sitamahya Bhut. I am telling you this because in certain discourses, I will now only see Brahma's grandmother as my audience. There won't be audience. But here I am blessed because in certain remote villages you can't expect the villagers to come and listen. Probably they may not understand, or probably I don't have the ability to tell the way they understand. I lack that. So I listen, but I am so happy that you are all here. I am telling you this because if you want to say that this person is at a fault, you say that he does not know this, he does not know that. Then I say that the Lord is formless and he does not exist in form. That does not exist in form is a disadvantage for him. He exists in form, he is also form. Saguna, Nirguna. So he exists in form. When you go to a temple, you perceive him and you see him. So our mind comes to a focus. So finally I would like to say that there are many organizations and associations and people who preach. They say let's meditate. A lot of them say, sir, I went to that meditation. He said close your eyes. Keep on thinking of your nose. Some of them say keep on thinking of your nose. Concentrate on your nose. How long can we concentrate on our nose? Half an hour we cannot concentrate on our nose. Our nose is not so worth to be concentrated for more than a minute. Where will we concentrate? So, it is very tough for one to meditate. Finally what happens is after the meditation session the person comes with a headache. Because he says, think of a white light. Black universe, white light. How long can we think? That is why Vedas have prescribed a beautiful Aradhana method how to meditate. I will just tell that. Now we can just close our eyes. I am not forcing you to close your eyes. If you want to keep your eyes open, you can. This is how our acharyas have time and again done the Aradhana. Whatever I say, imagine white light, blue light, green light, nose, ear and all that is all my imagination, not Vedas have prescribed. I tell you what Vedas have prescribed. You think of a beautiful Lord who has beautiful hair in him. They are black in color. Chikulam, Bahulam, Viranam, Brahmaram, Ridulam, Vachanam, Vipulam, Nayanam. Those ears, the hair in him is so curly, is so beautiful. And above that is a beautiful string of pearls. Above that is a beautiful feather of the peacock. Just come below. You will find a broad forehead. Kasturi Tilakam Lalata Palake Vakshasthale Kaustubam. A beautiful nose. Below the nose is a newly born pearl that hangs so beautifully. Beautiful lips of his which are similar in color to the coral, Pavalam. And beautiful face that represents the moon. beautiful ears from which there are beautiful earrings that come. They are fish in shape. They hang so beautifully. Below that is a beautiful neck with a conch in it. Vakshathalyam Ravidudasini. His chest is so broad that it can accommodate the beautiful resplendent shining Kaustuba gem. Next to it is a mole called as Sridhar. He wears a beautiful garland that has fresh water dripping tulsi garland. He has a beautiful Vaijayanti mala. He also has a beautiful necklace that has the nails of the tortoise and the tiger, which was tied by his mother Yashoda to drive away the evil omens. He has a beautiful flute in his hand. He stands in a cross-legged posture. He has a thin hip, and in that is a Navi. And in that Navi, from that Navi arose the great Brahma. From that you will have a yellow colored Pitakavadi, that is the silk cloth. And below it is a Nupuram, which is an anklet that is bone, that gives that little tingling sound to him. He stands with his lotus feet, with a beautiful flute in his hand. And there he sings beautiful songs for us. He runs away from his mother. That time his mother catches him, and which is the most beautiful sight that we have to think every day. He has a beautiful ball of butter in his hand and telling his mother that I won't give it to you. I would like to thank the Dignity Foundation for having given me this opportunity to speak before all of you. I could have gone wrong in what I have said. There could have been any grammatical errors. There could have been a lot of errors in my content. But I wish that all elderly people with excellent experience and knowledge forgive this little primitive mortal of young age, for I have committed a lot of mistakes when I would have said. So I seek your forgiving and bless and pray that we all keep praying throughout our life, not asking for anything but only for Him. Thank you.